Hi everyone! My name is Katie, and thank you for joining me for another reading journal video. Today's video is a long one. I'm doing a huge reading journal update, so let's get started. To start out, I am flipping forward to the yearly bookshelf spread in this journal. It is my first time filling out these spreads for 2025, which is always a bit nerve-wracking but also satisfying. So today's video covers January, February, and March, and I read 12 books over that time period. And I'm filling out my bookshelf based on the star rating I gave each book, and basically the darker shade of pink it is, the higher the star rating is. And I had quite a few 4 and 5 star reads, a few kind of in the 3-star area, and 1 or 2 in the 2-star level. And once that's done, I'm flipping forward to my yearly stats page and filling in the stats for January, February, and March. And I'm also marking down how many ebooks, audiobooks, and physical books I read. And then that last row was going to be owned, borrowed manga, but I haven't really been reading manga like I thought I was going to be so far this year. So I'm changing it to owned, borrowed arcs. And I will eventually update that M to be an A, but I didn't want to deal with that right now. And then I'm starting on my different trackers. So I made some progress in some of the series that I had been tracking, and I read a couple books off of my physical TBR. And then I crossed off a lot of my bingo boxes. So I completed a debut, finishing a series, a sapphic romance, dragons, Regency vibes, a 2025 release, a special edition, and a pink cover. And I'm already very close to a bingo, so that's awesome. And then I'm checking off a few of my other trackers, so my book mail tracker, my book box backlist, and then some of the different arcs that I've read so far this year. And then for my Zodiac favorites, my Capricorn favorite was Faithbreaker, my Aquarius favorite was The Rebel Witch, and my Pisces favorite was The Rose Bargain. And then for my Year of Adventure challenge, the January prompt was a book published in 2024, and I read A Language of Dragons. The February prompt that I chose was a book from the middle left side of my shelf, and I chose The Rebel Witch. And then my March prompt was a book from my priority TBR, and I chose The Rose Bargain. So then I'm flipping forward to my January cover page and setting that up. I'm using this blue and pink poinsettia wintry washi tape from Maragona Suli Art. And then I'm setting up the cover page with my little shelf and the stack of books on it, as well as the different spaces to track the couple of stats that I track here. So in January, I read 5 books. I read 2,695 pages, and my average rating was 4.8, which is very good. I did have 2 rereads this month and 1 arc, but my favorite book of the month was Faithbreaker, which was an arc and the 3rd and final book in a trilogy that I love. So then for decoration, I'm adding a bit more Maragona Suli Art washi tape and this really cute wintry ice skating witch. I think she's adorable with the pink ice skates. And I'm pairing her with some matching color-coded books and little decorations, witchy things, snowflakes, and little teacups. So once that's done, we are flipping forward to my book reviews. And as you can see, I reread Fourth Wing and Iron Flame in preparation for Onyx Storm. Then I read an arc of Faithbreaker, like I mentioned, and I also read A Language of Dragons, so definitely a dragon vibe for January. And then I had an extra space on this page, so I filled it with a quote. And the quote I chose was one from a book that I read last year, The Kiss of the Selkie. And the quote is, "But those worries belong to tomorrow. Tonight, I just want to forget." And I decorated that with some books and potions and little snowflakes and flowers in that same color scheme. So then I'm flipping forward to the first spreads of the whole year, and they are for my Fourth Wing and Iron Flame rereads. So I did one-pagers for both of these, and I tried to make them coordinating in the washi tapes and the sticker layout that I chose. I also really wanted to lean into using purpley kinds of tones to fit with Violet as the main character. So I did that by using a purpley washi tape at the top, and then this dragon washi tape at the bottom. And then for each book, I chose a dragon sticker and then a sticker of Violet. The dragon stickers are by Parente Illustrations, and the Violet stickers are from Lua Art Draws. And as always, I will have everything that I'm using today linked in my description box down below. And I really think that these turned out pretty cool, how they're mirrors of each other and very cohesive, because I read them back to back. I read them in preparation for the new book, and I also read these while my best friend was reading them for the first time, so that was just a really fun and special reading experience for me, and it was so fun to watch her learn things in the book and have theories and come to me with her theories and me trying not to give anything away. So it was just a very fun reading experience at the beginning of the year. So starting with Fourth Wing, the quote that I chose was, "One generation to change the text. One generation chooses to teach that text. The next grows and the lie becomes history." And just like so many people, I really enjoy how fun Fourth Wing is. I know everybody's talked about it, so I'm not really going to say anything too much about this series because people are probably tired of hearing about it, but I had a lot of fun rereading it, and I'm definitely happy that I did before the new book came out. And for Iron Flame, which again, like most people, I don't enjoy quite as much as Fourth Wing, the quote that I chose was, "Love doesn't even have the decency to die. It just transforms into abject misery." And I added a little lightning hand sticker from Artemation on this page to fill some empty space. And overall, yeah, I just think that these look really cool. I always enjoy doing one-pagers for books. I don't know why, it's just really fun for me. So it was a great way to start the journal. And it also set me up for the next spread. So I'm flipping forward for my Onyx Storm spread, and I wanted this to tie in a little bit with the two previous spreads, so I used that same purpley washi tape but I also layered a darker purple washi tape on top of it. And then I'm using 2 different stickers from Coralie Renard's, and I think that these look awesome. She has some of my favorite bookish art ever, and I was really excited to use these. We have Violet on the left side, and then Violet and Xaden in the bottom right corner. And then I also utilized some of my stamps in this spread just to add a bit more interest. And I'm trying to use more of my stamps, but I always forget to use them. And then I'll remember once I'm literally done with the spread. So I was happy to use them here. And the quote that I chose for this spread was, "Pain isn't a competition. There's always enough to go around." And that definitely feels relatable and true for this moment in time. And I just really liked that quote. And I personally enjoyed this book. It, to me, was a lot of fun because I enjoy books and adventures where we hop from place to place and see different cultures and see different places, different sceneries. But I also understand people who don't like that as much, or who felt like not all that much happened as far as progressing our plot forward, which I definitely agree with. And some of the things were weird, but I just had a lot of fun with it. I'm also, don't tell anybody, but Dane is my favorite character because I hope and pray that he is going to get the arc that I have seen set up for him. So we got a few Dane moments and scenes in this book, and I was living. And I've always been a Dane apologist, as I say, and now other people are also getting on that train. So that's been kind of interesting and funny to see. So part of the reason why this video is coming so late is because in the middle of finishing this spread for Onyx Storm, my pet passed away, and it was really difficult, and it's honestly difficult watching the footage back because it happened like right when I was finishing this spread, and it was low-key a little bit traumatizing dealing with that whole situation. But this pet had been on hospice, and we were mentally preparing ourselves for it, but it was still really hard for me. So that is why this video is coming late, but I hope that you understand, and I'm very grateful for your patience and support. And now you get this huge, long video. So there will be a nail polish change after this book, and some lighting changes because it took me quite a bit to finish filming and all of that. The next book that I did a spread for was A Language of Dragons, and this was a fairy loot book in 2024, and it is a YA fantasy, obviously, with dragons, and it is set in an alternate kind of 1920s era London, but there's dragons. Our main character may or may not spark a civil war, and she is a linguist, and she studies dragon languages, and she is roped into a group who is working for the government, looking for ways to stifle dragons, and basically code breaking. But the code is this secret language dialect for dragons that humans don't really understand yet. And I feel like it brings up a lot of interesting conversations about language itself, about different cultures, about classism, xenophobia, and I really love how the dragons are depicted not as either one wise monolith who all acts the same way, and not as like horses, but rather they're individuals with different cultures, and the dragons like think for themselves. And part of what gets them into this civil war is a dragon thinking for herself. And it was just very interesting. I really appreciated a lot of the themes, like I said. I thought that the main character herself was frustrating and a bit annoying, but that doesn't turn me off of a book personally. I enjoy reading characters like that. I can usually relate and understand them. I don't know, it was just interesting. It was unique in my opinion, and I, unfortunately, throughout the whole book, literally until like the last 2 pages, I thought it was a standalone. I don't know why I thought it was a standalone, but I did. And then we get to the last couple pages and I'm like, wait a minute, something big just happened, and what do you mean that that's just how that story is going to end? And there's no resolution here. What do you mean? But then I did some digging on the author and found out that there will be a sequel to this book, thankfully. I would have been very emotionally distraught if there wasn't. So for the spread for this book, I love how it turned out. I used a combination of Maragona Sully art, dragon, and book stickers, which I thought was perfect for a story about a person who studies the language of dragons. And I paired them with this adorable, simply gilded purple bookshelf washi tape, which also fit the vibes, fit the color scheme perfectly. And the quote that I chose for this spread was, "Peace isn't peace if it's only given to some," which I thought was very poignant for our world right now. But also, like I said, I really appreciated the world building and like the political nature of this story. The government in the book is doing everything they can to control the media, to use propaganda against the dragons, to cultivate support for the war, to manufacture consent. And for a YA book with dragons, I just thought it was done really, really well. And if you like any of these kinds of things, I would definitely recommend it. The next spread is for Faithbreaker, and I read an arc of this. And Faithbreaker is the 3rd and final book in the Fallen Gods trilogy, which is Hannah Kaner's debut trilogy. And I gave both of the first 2 books 5 stars. I absolutely loved them. So the first book was God Killer. The second book was Sunbringer. And oh my goodness, Faithbreaker was also 5 stars for me. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a great conclusion to the story. So many new aspects were brought in, but it didn't feel rushed in my opinion. I just really enjoyed it. And this is another book which the message felt very poignant and timely to read in 2025, especially in Faithbreaker, where we basically have like a god emperor and we're creating gods out of men, and people make gods, and for better or worse, gods make people. That's one of my favorite quotes from the whole series. And this story, like I said, this is the 3rd in the trilogy, so I don't want to say too much about like the specifics, but we follow 4 main characters. The first one being Kissin, who is one of my favorite characters of all time. She is a total BA woman. I absolutely love her. She has a prosthetic leg, and she is a god killer. So she's basically like a mercenary specifically to take out gods. And in this world, gods are manifested as like actual tangible creatures and beings on Earth. Everything from like big sea creatures to little rabbits with wings and antlers. So all kinds of things, and the more that one prays and believes and makes sacrifices and makes shrines and offerings for a god, the stronger, literally, and bigger they get. And because of her personal history, Kissen became a god killer, working with different leaders and people to take out these gods. The second main POV is Elogast, and he is a former knight. He saw a lot of bad stuff, obviously, during the war, and just wants to distance himself from it, get away from it, and be a baker. The third main POV is Inara, who starts the trilogy as this like innocent and scared young girl going through it. But her growth in the series is really great. And our fourth POV is a little god, the god of white lies, Skediseth, and he is actually connected to Inara. It's very interesting, very unique. Those are our four main characters, and there's kind of a found family aspect to this that's really incredible. The world building itself is very queer norm. We have multiple bi main characters, which is something that I always really appreciate, and I really recommend it, especially if you're interested in reading about religion or faith, because a huge aspect of the whole trilogy obviously is gods and the belief in gods and what makes a god, and I just love it. I can't recommend it enough. So for this spread, I really love the vibes, all of the greens and earthy kind of feels in it. I'm using a combination of green washi tapes, and I paired them with some different magical feeling Mushyworks stickers. And then, like any great epic fantasy, the series ends with an epic battle at the end. So I used this sticker from Tara Spruitt to represent that as well. So that was Faithbreaker. I love the spread, I love the book, and I definitely recommend. Next, I'm doing my February cover page, and I chose a pinky kind of theme for this month. I'm using a very pretty Sakura washi tape from Notebook Therapy, and I paired it with some pink and brown stickers from Maragona Suli Art. And in February, I read 4 books, 1,443 pages, and my average rating was 3.5. My favorite book of February was Rebel Witch. And I really love the girl sticker that I chose for this month. I think that she's so cute with her tote bag and her plants and her boots and her book. I would wear that outfit. She looks awesome. And I paired it with all of these different pinky bookish stickers and all of the little sakura flowers and hearts and dots. So then, flipping forward to my book reviews, like I said, I read Rebel Witch, which I did a spread for, and then I read an arc of Wooing the Witch Queen, which I also did a spread for. I read Lore of the Wilds, which unfortunately didn't really work for me. I really struggled with caring about the characters or the plot. It just felt a little generic, felt a little flat for me. And then I read an arc of Unlock the Dark, and I also did a spread for that one. And I had 2 extra spaces on this page, so I'm layering a bit of that Notebook Therapy washi tape and using some more of the pink and brown bookish stickers, as well as these like cherry blossom stickers. So the quote in the top box is from The Crimson Moth, and that was, "You get the world you're willing to fight for." And I thought that was appropriate because this month I read the continuation of that duology, which was Rebel Witch. And the second quote that I chose was from Rebel Witch, and that was, "You are not the things that happen to you." And then flipping forward, this first spread is going to be for Rebel Witch, and I'm using this really pretty butterfly pink iridescent washi tape from Bloomsicle, and I picked that because of the Crimson Moth. That's kind of like a butterfly, and I paired it with this other pink and gold washi tape from Notebook Therapy. And I used a bunch of stickers from Marigona Sully Art. I'm using these pink bookish witches and a bunch of pink flowers. And I love the aesthetic. It's so cute. I love all of the pinks, all of the florals. Now, like I said, Rebel Witch or The Rebel Witch is the continuation of the first book in the Crimson Moth series, which is either considered The Crimson Moth or Heartless Hunter, depending on where you live. This was one of my highest anticipated books of the year because The Crimson Moth was my favorite book of 2024. And the quote that I chose for this spread was, "Live in the darkness for too long, and eventually you won't recognize the light." Again, because it is the second book in the duology, I don't want to give too much away, but this world is one where witches used to rule, and they're obviously powerful with witch powers, and the society in the continent overthrew the witches who ran the country, and now they're like anti-witch and they hunt witches. And our main character, naturally, is a witch, and she is in hiding, and she is also being hunted by Gideon, the main love interest. But our main character, Rune, she's definitely conflicted because she sees that maybe not everything she thought about her people, the witches, was necessarily true at the end of the first book. She learns a lot and she has to make some hard decisions. And in this book, she is in a different place, and eventually her and Gideon find themselves on a boat together, and there's all kinds of fun tropes that happen. Fake dating, one bed, the other woman. I'm sure there's others, but those are the ones that come to the top of my mind. And it was so fun. Honestly, I would take a few books of them just on that boat because I just really enjoyed that dynamic. I enjoyed them basically being stranded together, and it was just a lot of fun for me. I had a great time reading it. I finished it super quick. And then once they get off the boat, all of the stuff that happens to resolve the story itself and the different arcs and the politics and social questions I thought was done really well. I kind of saw it coming, what happens at the end, but I was totally fine with that. And it also made me want to reread the first book. And I swear, whenever I finish a series, it always makes me want to reread the first book because you're just reminded of all the times where the characters didn't know each other so well, or all those little moments that they referred to. And I was like, oh gosh, I want to reread those. So I may do that this year. We'll see. I have so many books to read, who knows? But I just really enjoyed watching Rune and Gideon work together, and it made my heart very happy, so definitely a 5-star for me. And I also love how the spread turned out. Like I said, all of the pink, floral, cutesy vibes, totally me. I love it, and that was Rebel Witch. So then, flipping forward, I did 2 more one-pagers, and these were both arcs that I read this month. On the left is the one-pager for Unlock the Dark, and on the right is the one for Wooing the Witch Queen. And like before, I wanted each of these to kind of coordinate with each other, even though the stories aren't alike or related at all. I just thought it would look nice aesthetically if they kind of went together. So I'm layering some different washi tapes, and I'm following kind of this purple magical vibe for each of them. I'm using some Notebook Therapy washi tapes, some Simply Gilded washi tapes, and some Bloomsicle washi tapes. And then I'm also using some stickers that were graciously sent to me by Scribble Prints Co. And I thought that these looked really cute, these like fantasy, celestial, magical girls. I thought really worked with the vibes of each of the different stories. So Unlock the Dark is a YA romantic fantasy standalone. This is a debut, and I thought that it was really unique, very magical, and I enjoyed it. I gave it a 4-star. In this story, we're following a girl who has the ability to conjure keys and unlock anything, basically. And it starts out kind of dark because you learn that she is basically keeping her father alive just for his magic, because he has the magic to conjure doors, and then she uses that magic with her key magic and basically runs a side hustle, and that is how she supports the family. But the story starts when the god of death is basically upset with her for keeping her father alive when he feels like he should be dying and passing into his realm. And to rectify that, this god takes her younger brother as his servant. So in an effort to save her brother, she makes a deal with the prince, who is also looking for her key conjuring magic to end a war, basically. And in exchange, he will marry her and set up their family for life so she can let her father pass into the next life and get her brother back. I thought that the magic was very unique, if not a little odd sometimes, and I thought that the writing was very whimsical, the world building was expansive. The prince himself has been studying all of the culture and language of this land, but then when he arrives, his accent and verbiage is all way more formal and old-timey than how they actually speak. And I just thought it was an interesting commentary on the difference between learning about a culture and a place and experiencing that place firsthand. But overall, I thought it was a great debut. Like I said, it was just unique, magical, a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it. And then Wooing the Witch Queen is a cozy fantasy romance. It is a standalone, but it sounds like this author is going to do the thing where there's like interconnected standalones in a series. And I gave this one 3.5 stars. I thought that the setup for this one is very like silly, I guess, which was fun. The whole tone of it is very light and doesn't take itself too seriously. The story starts with Felix, who is an archduke who has never felt accepted where he's from, and he turns himself into this evil queen, Saskia, but she doesn't really let him finish his sentences, and she mistakes him for a dark wizard under the alias Fabian, and she hires him to organize her magical library. and he just goes with it. So he is pretending to be a dark wizard despite having no magical powers, and it's all quite comical. And I enjoyed the kind of quirky side characters. You spend a lot of time in her magical library, and he's learning and going through all the books, so that was like a fun vibe. They made me giggle. This is a romance. They are dancing around their feelings for each other, and it was really cute, and like I said, very cozy. Overall, if you're looking for something quick and cute, I thought it was exactly that. And then flipping forward, we're setting up my March cover page, and I always take the opportunity in March to use sheep stickers and washi tape. If you don't know, sheep are my favorite animal, and I love washi tape and stickers and everything that has sheep on it. So this washi tape with the girls and the flock of sheep is from Bloomsicle, and I think it is so beautiful. I absolutely love it. And then I paired that with another washi tape from Simply Gilded, and some stickers from Simply Gilded, and stickers from Maragona Sully Art. And in March, I read just 3 books, but it was 1,192 pages. And my average rating was 3.5 again. And my favorite book was The Rose Bargain. So then flipping to my book reviews. Like I said, I read The Rose Bargain and I really loved it, so I did a whole spread for it. And then I read Dating and Dragons, which also got a spread. And then I read A Dawn of Onyx, which is a fae romantic fantasy, and unfortunately, it just felt too much like other things that I've read. It just wasn't for me, and that's okay, but I gave it 2 stars. And then on the right side, I'm doing a 1-pager for Dating and Dragons. This is a YA contemporary romance, and it is the second book in the Dungeons and Drama series. And I gave the first book 4 stars, but I didn't like this one quite as much, so I gave it 3.5 stars, but I still thought it was really cute. This one was about a girl who is starting a new high school after a bullying situation from her D&D group at the old school, and she quickly finds herself in a new Dungeons and Dragons group, but they are definitely a unique group. They live stream their campaigns, and they take it very seriously, and they have a set of rules that everyone in the party must agree to for real life. And one of those rules is that you can't date another member of the campaign. Of course, she catches feelings for one of the other members in the campaign, and he has feelings for her. So drama ensues, obviously, and I just thought it was really cute. And the story is very high school, for lack of a better term. They feel like high schoolers. They make really strange judgments about things. They care about things way too much, and they're very cringe. But it was kind of fun to read that. I don't read a lot of contemporary period, but especially YA contemporary. So for the spread for this book, I went with a very D&D kind of vibe. I'm using a dragon fairy tale washi tape at the bottom. That one is one of my favorites. And I paired it with these little dragon stickers, each of which are a different class. So we have a mage, we have a druid, a paladin, and an archer. And I just think that they are adorable. And then our main character is described to have a very quirky and eclectic vibe in her clothing and jewelry and everything. So I also used one of these very cute summery witch stickers from Maragona Sully Art to represent her. So that was Dating and Dragons. And the final spread for today is for The Rose Bargain. And spoilers, this is one of my favorite spreads that I have ever made. So I started with some washi tape from Bloomsicle. I love these bows. They are so pretty. These pinks and all of the gold foiling just looks beautiful. And I paired it with this matching washi tape of these girls dancing among the clouds. And I just think it is so pretty. And then I'm using a combination of different stickers and stamps. These stamps are also from Bloomsicle. They have a very magical fairy tale vibe. I think they are so pretty. And then the sticker on the left of the couple dancing is from Tara Spruitt. And the sticker on the right is one of the prettiest stickers I've ever seen, and that one is from Sarah Mustafa. Yeah, it's just so beautiful. It's perfect for a Regency kind of story, so I was so excited to use it. And the quote that I chose was one of my favorites from this book. I had so many favorite quotes, but this one is awesome. It's, "I sit and I read and I wait for the end of the world." And honestly, that is how I feel right now. Very relatable, so I had to choose it. So The Rose Bargain is an upper YA romantic fantasy, and it's a story of fae that actually act like fae, fairy bargains, a marriage competition, and Regency London vibes. So the story starts with an alternate ending to the War of the Roses, which puts Queen Moore on the throne. And now she grants one bargain to each of her subjects, and the girls receive theirs when they are about to debut in society. And our main character, Ivy, is entering society because she is desperate to restore her family's reputation, because her older sister, Lydia, had debuted the previous season, and her fairy bargain turned out very badly and caused scandal with her disappearing for 2 weeks and nobody knows where she went, not even herself. And this year also happens to be the first year where the Queen's fae son, Bram, is eligible to be courted. So, of course, Ivy agrees to compete for his hand, but she also finds herself very drawn to the prince's human brother, Emmett. Now, again, for some reason, I thought that this was a standalone. I don't know why, but it was the last few chapters, and I was like, how the heck is all of this going to be resolved? There was so much happening, and I was really worried about it, so I Googled it and found out that it would have a sequel. Thank God. So I'm really excited to spend more time in this world, in this story, and with these characters, and I'm definitely looking forward to the sequel. Each of the other girls competing for the prince's hand had their own POV chapter, and we get to learn about their backstory and their motivations, and I thought it was really well done. I especially loved the sapphic side plot, and I just really liked the characters. But my favorite theme in the story was that around sisterhood. Ivy's relationship and feelings toward her sister are definitely complicated and nuanced. And as the youngest of 3 sisters, I just related to her on some things. You know, her older sister shattered her whole vision for her future. and now she's tasked with saving the family, marrying for status, things that she never wanted to have to do, things that she had always thought that her older sister would do, and that now she is responsible for. And she's really struggling through feelings of resentment, loyalty, love toward her sister. And one of my favorite quotes from the book was, "She's easier to love when she's not in front of me. I like her so much more when she's not around." But overall, I had so much fun with the Rose Bargain. I especially adored Emmett, but also Bram. And the romantic Regency tension was jumping off the page. We got a lot of very tropey, fun moments, and I just loved it. The pacing was really engaging, and I appreciated that the Fae actually acted like Fae with their trickery, their mistreatment of humans, and seeing humans as pets and playthings, and all of the bargains. I thought that it was very well done, and I had so much fun with it, so I definitely recommend it to all of you. All right, everyone. I'm kind of losing my voice, so thank you so much for sticking with me through this huge reading journal update. I hope that you enjoyed all of these spreads and books that I've read so far. I would love to hear what you've been reading and what you've been enjoying. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this one, be sure to leave a like and a comment down below. And if you'd like to see more from me, be sure to hit subscribe. I hope that you and yours are staying safe, happy, and healthy, and I will see you again next time. Thanks again. Bye-bye.